why did we really want the Philippines and Guam? Well, we really wanted to get into China and Asian markets for trade and resources. That was the real goal here, not just to get the islands, because they didn't really offer us too much other than they gave us really good ports to get into these other areas. Now, if we take a look at China at the time, we were a little late, because China was already being carved up by all the other nations, and they were pulling out all the resources. If you look at the colors in this map here, you can see along here all the different nations that had their piece of the pie. Well, by the time we got to China, there wasn't much left. And so we had to figure out a way to get into China, to get the resources, and to be able to trade there. And so the great ingenuity of the United States, we came up with something called the open door policy. Regents, alert. You need to know this term. Now, open door policy was basically the idea that China, being the great nation that it is, should be open to everybody, not just a few countries that have their piece of the pie there. And so, very skillfully, the United States was able to convince both China and the other countries that were already there to let us get in and trade. So there you have it. We did it. We got our imperialistic nations going. We got our access into China. We were very firm in the idea of being an imperialistic nation. Now, there was one last little problem. This is kind of the end of where we're going to go here, is that it took a long time to get to China. You had to leave and go all the way around South America to get to the Pacific Ocean and all the way across to Guam and then the Philippines and then finally to China. Theodore Roosevelt was president at the time and said, we need to figure out a faster way. And so if you look down here, there is a little patch of land in the Isthmus of Panama where a canal was actually possible, where they could cut through and break through from the Caribbean Sea into the Pacific Ocean. And so Roosevelt used kind of the Darth Vader idea, waved around his big stick, or lightsaber you might say, and say that I'm going to build this canal whether you like it or not. And he said that to both our country and to Colombia, who owned that land at the time. And he was able to use the military influence to get into that country and build a canal. And so after a few years when that was complete, the United States now had a very fast route to get through the Panama Canal and over to the Pacific Ocean and on to China. So that was a demonstration of our imperialistic ideals and powers and their influence on the world. Now, there are some that argue that we still have these tendencies within us today. They look to things like the Vietnam War, and they say, well, there's still this Cookie Monster and Big Bird debate going on with the Vietnam War. Are we still an imperialistic nation? Then they look even more recently at the war in Iraq. Some of the same arguments are made even so today. And so we've pretty much confirmed the fact the United States did become an imperialistic nation today. But what I'm going to leave you with is this question: are we still an imperialistic nation today? Well, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for sticking along, and until next time, Mr. Yarwood saying, we're out.